Good morning. My name is Susie, and I will be your conference operator today. At this time, I would like to welcome everyone to the CA Infrastructure Management Community Update. All lines have been placed on mute to prevent any background noise. After the speaker's remarks, there will be a question-and-answer session. If you would like to ask a question during this time, simply press star, then the number 1 on your telephone keypad. If you would like to withdraw your question, press the pound key. Thank you. I would now like to introduce Michael Helder, the Community Board President. You may begin your conference, sir.
Thanks, Susie. And welcome, everyone, to the October IM Community Webcast. I'm just quickly going over to the agenda. We have a lot of topics. First, we'll have Steve Guthrie here to go over a CA World preview, which CA World will start in about 3 weeks. After that, we have Nasser Ansari to explain to you the ideation process, how we are handling ideas that come in through the communities, how they are reviewed. And then to go into a little bit more detail, Kiran will go into detail for the CA Spectrum ideation process. And then finally, we will have William Andreas to go over the CAPC updated look and feel. And with that, I'll hand it over to Steve. Go ahead.
Thank you, Michael. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I am Steve Guthrie. I'm with CA, and I'm here to give you an overview of CA World, in particular what we call the Ops Center and how that fits into infrastructure management. What I'd like to do today is just give a definition of what the Ops Center is. Many of you think about infrastructure management or eHealth or Spectrum or some product like that. So how does that fit in the context of the Ops Center? I want to show you the week at a glance and highlight some of what I think are some of the key sessions that I hope you all attend, and just share with you what's there for you. I know there's been some rumblings over the past few months that this was going to be a really different CA World, and while that's kind of true, I'll make sure you understand that it's still very much the CA World that we all know and love. I want to give you a high-level overview of what I'm calling the center of the universe in the Expo Center, and chat just real quickly about the mobile app, and I'll try and leave just a few minutes for questions. I want to make sure we get to the second half of the program, the ideation program, so I'll probably move through some of this pretty quickly. So from a big picture perspective, if you're following what CA is doing, you now know that we're talking about the application economy and business rewritten by software, and how applications today, software today, drives all of our businesses, and how it's really important that organizations get prepared for this new application economy. And then from a CA perspective, we break down into 3 main areas: our management cloud, security, and then DevOps. And as we think about DevOps, we think not only just the dev piece, but also the ops piece. So ops is where we live and breathe, if you will, from an infrastructure management perspective. And as I'll talk to you later, we also think about other aspects of our business, such as application performance management and enterprise mobility management. For those of you who are still contemplating coming to CA World, or you've already registered, but you haven't built your agenda, by going to ca.com/CA World, find the agenda and then the session catalog. You can sort the session catalog on the Ops Center, hit filter, and all of the quote-unquote Ops Center sessions will be visible to you. So that's where we hope you spend your time, whether it's on the show floor or off the show floor or in the Executive Center. So look for Ops Center. As I mentioned, I wanted to share with you a week at a glance, and I've highlighted just a half a dozen key sessions, if you will. First of all, notice that registration is open on Sunday from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. There is a special area for attendees to get their badge and all the goodies that we typically give out. What we're encouraging people to do is attend this registration. Indeed, I could have put down, I should have added it, there will be a reception for you, a regional reception for everybody on Sunday night. What we hope you do is come get your badge and then hang out with us for an hour or so, cocktails and light hors d'oeuvres on Sunday. By getting you to get your badge on Sunday, we hope to avoid what we see the Monday morning crunch. So the registration area opens up on Monday at 7 a.m. What we've seen in the past is the more people we can get registered on Sunday, we can avoid that crunch and hopefully get people to that first very important session on Monday, 9 a.m., Mike Gregoire's keynote. Mike's going to have a couple of guests join him on stage. This is, I think, one of the most important keynotes that I've been involved with from a CA perspective, given the fact of, one, it's our new CEO, albeit he's been with us for a year and a half, but the changes that we're making, the emphasis that we're putting on innovation, the emphasis that we're putting on execution and speed, Mike will certainly highlight that. Right now, the second most important keynote on Monday is John Smith. John Smith is our general manager for both our infrastructure management and our application performance management solutions. That keynote, we may adjust that time just a little bit, but assume between 11 a.m. and noon on Monday, John Smith will have his keynote. Although I didn't highlight it here, at 12:30, we'll have our VIP awards, VIP standing for Vision, Impact, and Progress. They, too, will be in the same theater that John's keynote will be held, again, 12:30 to 1. This year, we have the privilege of recognizing 6 of your peers, 3 Vs, 3 Is, 3 Ps, if you will. So that session will be from 12:30 to 1. What we're doing is asking people, go get your lunch, come on back to the theater, and see why we've acknowledged these 6 of your peers. Magic Johnson, outside of North America, folks may not recognize Magic Johnson as well as many of us in North America. Magic Johnson was a famous basketball player in the professional basketball league. He's very charismatic, charming, bright, and I'm sure he will make a tie to technology. Following that, we'll have some receptions, but at 6:30, we're asking everybody to come back to the exhibit center, if you will, for this welcome reception. We're going to have 6 different sort of theater sessions, one on technology and fashion, one on technology and food. So there's 6 different themes that will play out. During this reception, we'll serve drinks and light hors d'oeuvres. For those of you who are thinking about having a full dinner on Monday evening, what I'd ask you to do is consider doing that after 8:30. So if you're thinking about making reservations, whether they're at the Mandalay Bay complex or somewhere else, I'd ask you to consider doing that after 8:30. I think maybe at least after 8, but we want you to join us from 6:30 to 8:30 Monday night in the exhibit center. And then the one last highlight here, Amit Chatterjee is our head of all of the distributed or enterprise solutions that we produce, everything outside of the mainframe, if you will. So IM is a key piece of this. His keynote on Tuesday at 9 a.m., I hope everybody joins there. Amit's newer to the organization than Mike, so this is his first CA World. I know they're working very hard for him to have some guests join him on stage. We'll highlight some of the innovation that both our customers are doing with our solutions, but maybe more importantly, the innovations that we're focused on from a CA perspective. What you'll see, not in red, but in the other 2 colors, there are going to be sessions on the exhibit center floor. I'll show you what I mean by that in a second. But there will also be sessions off the floor. I know there was some confusion early on in some of the messaging that we did that created the impression that we weren't going to have sessions up the escalator on the 2nd floor. We will have those, and I'll speak to those in a minute or 2 here. Indeed, here I am. So why should you come? If you look at this slide, you'll see that pretty much everything you've come to know and love about CA World will be at CA World 2014. We changed a few of the names. So, for example, Meet the Experts. That used to be called Technical Campground. we're going to change the location of the technical campground, but the function, the capability that you have to walk up to an expert and say, how do I customize a dashboard? How do I create a report? Anything along those lines, we'll still have that fully staffed. Same is true with the Executive Center. Most of us used to call this the high-value networking center, where you can sign up through your sales agent or sales representative to have a one-on-one with, you pick the name. Within the Ops Center, we've got something like 25 people registered in the resource directory, so that's still there. There's still pre-con ed. There's still hands-on labs. There's still breakout sessions. Over 4 dozen, well, it says 3 dozen here. I didn't count the theater sessions, but there's another 17 theater sessions. So more than 4 dozen sessions from you to pick from, just within the Ops Center realm, if you will. And we still have the self-paced learning, where you can go into one of the big conference rooms, sit down at a PC, pick from pretty much the entire CA education catalog, and if you want to spend an hour getting free access to a session that otherwise might cost you money. So in many ways, it's, you know, the same old CA world. But there are some differences, and I'll highlight those as we move forward. So here's a high-level conceptual view. Doesn't really look a lot different from years past when you look at it from this perspective. The keynote area, where it was before, the show floor, where it was before. We even reoriented the Executive Center or that high-value networking center a little bit. But again, the functions, the capabilities, the activities are pretty much the same. As we zero in on the show floor, each of the major areas, Ops Center being one of them, has what we call a wedge, if you will. Each of the wedges connects at what we call the hub. In many ways, you probably won't notice a lot of differences at this level. Where it starts to be a little different is when I show you this picture. Now, this is a conceptual drawing. This isn't what it's actually going to look like. But if you zero in on this picture, the first thing you'll notice that's different, we're on the show floor. What's different is each of those wedges has a theater. That theater will have an agenda of 17 different sessions over the course of Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday morning. This is where we're going to put, I won't call them premier customers or premier stories. I'd hesitate to call them that. But this is where we're going to put some of the more interesting customers, and I'll show you in a few minutes some of the customers that are speaking within the Ops Center. So within the wedge, within the Ops Center wedge, we'll have a theater, but then everything else that you know and love about CA World will be there. There'll be some exhibitors. Some of our sponsors will have demo stations or little booth areas. We'll still have demo stations, just like we've always had before, and we'll also have that Meet the Experts, formerly known as the Technical Campground. We'll have those folks stationed on the show floor versus back in the edge of the hall. Some of the feedback we got was, geez, it's really hard to find this place, you know. Could you make it easier for me? Could you make it fewer steps to get from the technical campground back to a demo station? So we've combined that, if you will. And then those little gear-looking icons, if you will, are scattered around. Those are tables and chairs. So lunch will be served on the show floor. Grab your lunch. Either go into a session like I suggested, the VIP session at 12:30 on Monday, or grab a table within the Ops Center, and chances are you're going to be sitting with one of your peers. Real quick summary. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this particular slide. You can see some numbers down at the bottom. Again, Ops Center Theater, 17 sessions. Off the floor, 3 dozen sessions. 15 different demo stations. Now, this is the Ops Center, so that 15 demo stations is split between infrastructure management, application performance management, and enterprise mobility management. But if you look down at the list, you'll see that the first 9 are infrastructure management related. So we get our unfair share of coverage within the Ops Center. What I really want to point out is that text in yellow. Some of the innovations that we're working on, so converged capacity management and Spectrum 64-bit and unified infrastructure management, policy-based management, and then unified infrastructure management data into Spectrum. So there are some non-release capabilities, non-GA capabilities that we will be highlighting here and in some of our sessions off the floor. Again, to reinforce that there's a lot of innovation occurring. Both Mike Gregoire, our CEO, and Amit Chatterjee, our Senior Vice President of Products for the Enterprise Solutions Group, both are very much focused on energizing our internal development and product management teams to think about innovation, to think about what do our customers want to be doing, not this week or this month, if you will, but next year and the years out ahead of us. What can we be doing to deliver innovation within our products that we have today, as well as with products that we haven't even announced. So we're going to have some innovation sneak peeks, both on the show floor as well as part of our sessions, off-the-floor sessions. The one other area I'll point out is what's being launched. So we've already released Unified Infrastructure Management. Think of that formerly known as NIMSOFT Monitor. We've already GA'd that, but we'll put some emphasis on that at CA World. And we'll also put some emphasis on our performance management solution and how we've been pivoting that toward the carrier-grade CSP requirements as well as mega enterprises. So although there's a heavy emphasis on the CSP, we continue to see great traction within the large enterprise who, in fact, think of them as a service provider to their organization. As I said before, we're blessed with, some great customers, but more importantly, some customers who are willing to come to CA World and speak on our behalf. Of the 3 dozen plus 17, let's call it 4 dozen just to make it easy on me. If you count these logos, I think there's somewhere around 32, 34, something like that. Call it 3 dozen, if you will. So as you can see, nearly 80% of our sessions are led by customers. We put a lot of emphasis. We heard the feedback. We've heard, we don't want to be sold CA technology by CA. We want to hear how your customers, how our peers are using the same tools that we're using. So you can see here a good number of companies or organizations that you immediately recognize and some that you may not. There's a span of enterprise as well as communication service providers as well as managed service providers. So if you're thinking about, hey, I want to continue to have the benefit of CA technology monitoring my infrastructure or my applications or my mobility platform, I still want that, but you know what? I'd actually rather have somebody else manage it for me. So organizations like Logicalis and Kelway and DataLink and Unisys happen to be some examples of MSPs who are using our technology to deliver services. They'll also apply some of their best practices for enterprises. So some of our enterprises, like I mentioned a little bit earlier, want to look like an MSP. They want to make sure that they look like an MSP so that the CIO or the CEO doesn't come tapping on the operations manager someday and say to him or her, hey, you know what, I've heard about this MSP thing, this cloud thing, and we're going to make you redundant because we're going to outsource this to an MSP. So some of our professionals, they want to know, well, how does an MSP do it? Because if I do that within my organization, I'll look like a service provider, and I might be able to stall this tapping on the shoulder and surprise. I won't go through this. Fair enough to say every IM product that we have today will have some representation. It may not be highlighted. It may not have a single session. For example, I'll pick out virtual assurance for infrastructure managers. There won't be a separate session dedicated to virtual assurance for infrastructure managers, but it'll be woven into some of our sessions. We'll also have the capability to show it on the demo floor if somebody wants to come up and says, hey, I'm using virtual assurance for infrastructure managers, but I want to get it to do this when I integrate it with Spectrum. We'll have that skill set. We'll have that ability on the demo floor. One last thing. I think I got 1 or 2 more slides, and then Nasser get teed up to be ready. We'll be launching a brand new mobile app this year. For all registered attendees, you'll be getting an email, I think this week, but don't quote me, but you'll be getting an email about how to activate your mobile application. You'll go off and download it from either the Google Store or the Apple Store. This year, we put a lot of emphasis on upgrading our mobile app. I think it's fair to say last year it was pretty static. You could see the schedule, you could see your agenda, you could update your agenda. This year, it's going to be amazing interactive tool for us. You'll be able to communicate with other attendees. You'll be able to swap your business card with other attendees. You'll be able to ask questions within sessions. Some sessions will have polling. The app will have a game associated with the app, so as you go and scan a QRC code, you'll earn a badge and you'll earn points. All of the activity that you use with your mobile app, the exchanging of business cards or emails, will get downloaded to your briefcase, so at the end of the event, your briefcase will get emailed off to you. So everything you've done in your app will be preserved, if you will, for use later on. So a lot of time and investment being put into this. I know at least a couple of folks on the call today were part of our beta program last week, got some great feedback. Some feedback that the team is now implementing, so stay tuned. As Michael mentioned, we've got pretty much 3 weeks to go, and I'm pretty sure they're going to be working every day to make this mobile app as impressive as we can possibly have it. And then last, we think that there will be some interest in you folks, you infrastructure management-oriented folks. We hope you sort of stray out of the neighborhood, if you will. Don't just spend all your time in the Ops Center. Go see what's going on in the DevOps area. Go see what's going on in the Dev Center. In the Tele Center is, think of that as our project portfolio management and service management. Close affinities to all of the things that we do in the Ops Center. So I'll stop there. I want to be cognizant of the time that I've taken, about 20 minutes. But if there are questions, I'm happy to take them now. Otherwise, I'm going to pass the ball to Nasser and tee him up for his session.
Again, if you would like to ask a question, press *1.
Nasser, you are now the presenter. Well, thank you.
Great. Hey, thanks, Steve. So I'm going to just start sharing, so just maybe 1 second here, and we'll get started.
Hey, Nasser, your presentation is actually already loaded up. If you want to, you can just click on the tab at the top.
Okay, I thought that was the older one.
Oh, okay, it might be. Yeah, you're right. You have the updated one. Okay, cool.
All right, so hopefully you can see this. Melissa, if you can confirm.
We see it, Nasser.
Yes.
Perfect. So, again, thanks, Steve, and you know, not as exciting topic as CA World and all the parties that Steve Guthrie is talking about, but I thought let's take a few minutes talk about community-based ideation. So I feel like I don't have to have a lot of introduction. This is one of the most active communities within CA. And a lot of good content already. So it doesn't need much introduction in terms of, you know, what ideation is. But just in terms of what we did in June, we moved to a Jive-based platform, and we have seen a tremendous amount of traction and customer participation. So I wanted to, before I start, thank you for being one of the most active communities here, Michael and Stuart and a lot of other folks. You know, taking a lot of time to really groom this community into something very useful. So again, this is great to be here talking about the IM community. So in general, the goal is to maximize the ideation process is to maximize the customer input in our development process. So we have moved from the support site-based enhancements and ideas to other platforms to Jive now, and this has been a great platform for us to collaborate. We want to make sure that we give you timely feedback on your ideas, keep you informed about the decisions and status changes on those ideas, and basically work with you on the entire life cycle of the ideation process there. And it also helps us keep the traceability of ideas during our product development cycles and such. So this has been a very exciting area for us to basically improve on and do things a little bit of different way than we have traditionally done. In terms of the guidelines, so internally we did spend a lot of time with the various product groups to come up with a set of guidelines for product teams to handle this idea. So this is where I want to spend some time giving you an overview of what we do with those ideas on the back end. So as you can imagine, there's different product communities with different number of customers, installed base. You know, it's hard to come up with something that works for everything, but we still encourage the teams to come back and provide feedbacks on new ideas within the 1 or 2 calendar months. That's kind of the maximum. So if you think about IM, it's one of the largest community with a huge backlog of ideas. So that would be on the longer time frame here. But in general, we want the teams to quickly provide feedback to the customer and really collaborate and work with their community. In general, we want to be transparent. So we know in some cases, you know, if you need something which is critical for your business operations, since we can't do that, we want to provide that feedback to you quickly so you can make alternative arrangements, and also in some cases of business critical situations, sales can help you prioritize those higher with the product team through the escalation systems and all that. But in general, the aim is to really enhance the customer satisfaction and build the trust in the community, because ultimately these community-based initiatives are only as good as the trust we have in each other. And so that's what we are really striving for going forward, that we do this right and we actually become a really, really collaborative, development-oriented company. So this is just a couple of screenshots on the ideation. So as you can see here, ideation is dealt with as separate tab within the community. So you can pretty much go and open ideas. Again, like I said, you know, it's a fairly large community with a large number of ideas. So this is great for our products. We are very lucky to have customers looking for so many enhancements in our product. Customers can also vote. So as you have seen and have been doing, so you can vote on the community ideas. If you vote multiple times, only your most recent vote is counted. So if you change your mind, obviously you can vote again, and we'll just count the most recent one. And it also shows the scores of you know, how many customers have voted and things like those. So in general, the ideas will move up in the priority based on the number of votes that the community is putting on that particular idea. So life cycle. So this is where I want to spend some time in terms of what we do at the back end once you open the ideas. So let's walk through these. So new ideas, again, you know, if you go today and create an idea for e-health or performance management or something, that's currently the new idea. And then the expectation here is that the community members would add comments. You would have discussions. Product teams can do clarifications and all that. So you're essentially grooming this idea. Sorry. So one thing on the ideas, the best ideas are the ones where you are telling us to solve a problem. And so you're not telling us specifically what to do. So that's kind of one of the areas distinction here in terms of just tell us what the problem is. So under review is when the product team decides to go and look at this idea. And we have basically a regularly scheduled meetings. Every product team strives to have a regularly scheduled meeting in terms of reviewing all the new ideas. So once the idea has been groomed by the community and the product team is starting to look at the technical feasibility of the idea and things like those, they would put this idea under review. And once the idea has been reviewed by the team, and this is where that time frame issue comes in. We don't want to have the new idea sit there forever. We want to do a review. Now, two things can happen from that review. And this is where some of the feedback from IM community was very useful in terms of don't just let the idea sit in the new queue. Do something, tell us what's going on. So in this case, what happens is under review, ideas can either go into wish listed, or we can go put them under currently planned. So the wish listed ideas are the ones which are good ideas, but we don't have a whole lot of votes for those, or we are still waiting for things. They are not bubbling up to the highest priority of the product backlog. So in this case, what we are doing is we are coming back to you and saying, we looked at it, it's a good idea, we want to do it, but it's not the highest priority, so we have wish listed this. It's up to the community to either put more weight on it by adding votes to those, or you could also have, in some cases we are looking to take a bucket of wish listed ideas and then asking you to trade off and say, hey, do you want this versus that? So that's something that we would be experimenting as the time goes. If the idea is great, we have the votes, there's technical feasibility, and everything is in line, we put those ideas into currently planned, and this is the set of ideas that are going into the product backlog. And if it's a high-level idea in terms of an epic level initiatives, you'll also see this in the roadmap for future releases. And at that point, we close the voting, and this is essentially coming into the release management aspect of the product. Once we work through this, you would start seeing that idea showing up in the end of the sprint demos that you see for the product, and then once we deliver it in a GA product, then we'll change the status to delivered, and at that point, obviously, voting is not needed. The last one, which I know there's been some back and forth on this one, what we kind of looked at is if the idea is not in alignment with the strategic direction of the product, or it's technically not feasible, or the product life cycle is such that this is too much of an effort to do, for whatever reason, if this is not something that we would do, we want to provide that feedback as well. So we would say that this is not planned, and we would provide you that feedback within this. So, this could be an example where an idea is very, very drastically different than where we want to take the product. You want Spectrum product to toast your bread or something, and we just think that, current Spectrum architecture won't allow that. Those would be the ones we would put, not planned here. They would eventually fall off from the voting as well, because we don't have it open for voting, and pretty much it's an equivalent of saying we won't be able to do that. Next slide here. So this is just kind of the overall picture workflow of what happens with the ideas. As we discussed, the new ideas go into ideation. There's a whole requirements management on the other side with the product team. We provide feedback with under review, wish listed or not planned. Anything that gets planned, then we take those ideas, push them into the release management bucket, and then we deliver them back after the sprints are done and the product goes GA. So one last point I wanted to make here, which is an ongoing thing. So IAM is in good shape in terms of the product has already moved to the Ideation Platform, so the ideas are coming here. There's not a whole lot going on the support side, but in general, CA is moving to all the products, bringing their ideas to Ideation Platform. So we would, at some point, and you may have seen some emails to this effect already, we would stop taking enhancement requests from support online. So the teams are gearing up for that. We would take the existing ideas from enhancement requests, either move them to ideation internally, but we won't take new ideas there. And then the benefit obviously is the same, that if you have an idea and it gets voted by the community, it becomes more useful for the product. So eventually CA as a whole is moving away from that one-to-one request from the customer going into the product team and deciding we want to do this community-based. So all of those ideas, not just for IAM, for all other products, the goal is to bring all of them to the community-based ideation process. And the last slide here I have for the overall process, a lot of what we talked about here. If you go into the community site and search for ideation, you'll find this document called Summary of CA Ideation Process, and that talks about the different stages and how we handle them and what are the other nuances there in terms of what we do with those. So that is described in this document. So this at your fingertips within the community. So if you search for that, it's under the water cooler there. If you haven't been to the water cooler, that would be the other thing to encourage, that you definitely want to go there. Michael and a lot of other folks are very active in terms of tricks and tips there for how to use community site and everything. So I encourage everybody to jump on there and find benefits over there. So that's kind of the overall CA process. I don't know if you want to take questions here or have Kiran maybe go over his, ideas on what IAM teams are doing for ideas, and then we can come back with the questions.
Yeah, I think we should keep going forward, Nasser, and we'll take questions at the end.
Perfect. So let me stop sharing here. I'll make Kiran the presenter, and we'll go from there.
Thanks, Nasser. Melissa, Nasser, are you able to hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Thank you. So I think I'm able to access the presentation even without being the presenter, which is fine. So you're able to see the slides, right, Melissa?
Yeah. Yep, you're good.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Okay. Thanks. My name is Kiran Walker, and I'm part of the IAM product management team. I specifically take care of Spectrum. So what I'll do in the next 8 to 10 minutes before I hand it over to Bill is I'll talk about a few things that we have done on the Spectrum side. We've been setting aside time for the highest voted community enhancements within our releases. We are earmarking that bandwidth. And I'll talk about a few interesting statistics on the Spectrum side, because, as I said, probably we are one of the teams that spent a lot of time on ideas in the last few quarters. So before I go ahead, and I think Nasser alluded to this as well, I definitely want to go ahead and thank everyone on the community for all the great participation, the suggestions, the ideas, even the critique. So it's greatly appreciated. I look back 24 to 36 months earlier when things were not in the best of shapes, and the fact that we have come such a long way, improving the quality of the product, making sure that it runs without too many issues in production environments, to now getting people asking for bigger, broader features within the product has been a great transition, and we definitely believe that a lot of that credit goes to this vocal community. So wanted to extend that thank you before we move ahead. We are committed to Spectrum. I've said this in multiple blogs, in multiple posts that I have made on the community. We have a bunch of releases that are planned in the next 12 to 24 months. If you are at CA World, please attend the detailed Spectrum roadmap session that we have there. As I mentioned, we are probably only a few of the teams out there that have dedicated bandwidth with every release for the top voted community enhancements. So we started off with 9.3, 9.4, and the 10.0 release that my team has started working on. We have around 50% of the bandwidth being used on things that have been voted very high by the community. I'll talk about some of those things. And many of you will see 10.0 and have a smile, but given the content that we have had, we decided that our next release that goes out to the market, we will be calling it 10.0 because the content is pretty huge in there. Last but not least on this slide, obviously it's a no-brainer. The more you vote, the higher the likelihood of those ideas getting into the product. And I'll show you some statistics of how that plays out. I have showed this slide a few times during my 9.4 presentations, but these are the 6 ideas that we were able to implement in Spectrum 9.4 that went GA in September. I won't go through each one of them, but all of these were the highest voted enhancements at that point in time that we picked up. So we want to continue with that momentum. We want to ensure that we continue to do that. I said, these are a few things that we have planned for 10.0, our next release. All the items above the yellow line there are all planned for 10.0, and the status has been updated accordingly within the communities. So 64-bit, support for virtual port channel, maintenance mode in VMware models. And again, maintenance mode in VMware models, this is a system edge or VAME-based enhancement. So there has been a lot of discussion on that Spectrum is not doing too much with VAME or system edge. This is one of the things that we would like to call out, that even though we are not enhancing it drastically to add like a big bang new feature, we are adding features that would add value and make the job of existing users a lot simpler when they are working with Spectrum as well as system edge and VAME together in a common environment. We are looking at the Spectrum integration with Google Maps. This has been a fairly talked topic on the communities as well. And of course, the Spectrum mobile app, actually, even though I've called it as 10.0, we have around 25 customers actually using it in production as we speak in a restricted GA mode that we have. This will be released at CA World, where all the CA World participants will be able to download the app on their iOS or Android phones, connect to a local CA World Spectrum server and see the activity directly on their app. So they don't even need to go to a separate session for the app, but we will be able to provide that directly. And there are a few things we plan beyond 10.0, which is exporting the topology to Visio, a notes field for maintenance mode. So again, the intent of this slide is to call out that we do take all the inputs and votes fairly seriously, and as the number of votes increase for a specific idea or a specific enhancement, we start looking at it in a much more detail than others which are lesser voted. Again, a few screenshots of the Spectrum mobile app, right? We will be able to connect it through HTTP, HTTPS, ability to configure the poll intervals, acknowledge, clear alarms, assign alarms to your team members. Again, all these things came from that community idea. All the users that voted there, all the users who added their comments onto that idea gave specific instructions. Okay, this is what we would like. This is how we would like to see it. All that has been incorporated into the tool, and we're glad that it will be GA for everyone in the next 2 to 3 weeks at the most. We have the ability to start there as well. The next key thing, Spectrum integration with Google Maps, right? So, and I'm not sure with the background color that Google Maps has here and the intermediate screenshot that I took, if you're able to see the green and red bulbs out there, which are the devices that are spread across on that map there. So we have a GIS view on that Spectrum interface where you will be able to see your devices, the status of those devices, and a bit more details when you click on those bulbs that are out there. This is another screenshot for the same. So again, clearly called out by the customers, by the voters, people gave specific instructions. We need to be able to add those devices manually. We need to be able to get those devices through a global collection. We need the ability to filter out devices based on specific IP address. We have considered all those things, and we are coming up with a solution which would be shown at CA World and eventually rolled up into Spectrum 9.4 as well. I'll take the next 2 to 3 minutes at the most and just talk through some of the numbers. Melissa and I think actually Nasser talked about some of these numbers as well, but these are specifically for Spectrum. And while I was pretty happy and impressed with my team that we have already delivered 15 enhancements, 9 more are currently planned, and 14 are under review by the team. When I look at the new category there, it shows as 265. That's a pretty high number, and I started thinking, why haven't we looked at that in spite of the additional effort that we have been putting it here? That's when I started jumping a bit into more details here. So here's what you have. The average number of votes for delivered or currently planned ideas is 35. So if you see here, the delivered ideas, one has 122 votes, one has 88. There are 2 that have 86 as well. The ones that are very low in number from a votes perspective are predominantly the certifications, because irrespective of the number of votes, we go ahead and accept and do certifications in any case. But on an average, we have had 35 votes for accepted as well as delivered ideas. The ones which are under review, again, a very healthy voting number, 81, 71, 45, 35. So again, nothing surprising about that. Now you come to the new Ideas tab, and when you look at the review, what you see is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So the number of votes that are in single digit are for 229 ideas. So of the 265 or 266 ideas for Spectrum that are in the new state, 86% of those, that is 229 ideas, have less than 10 votes. I took a step further and figured out that 61% ideas, that is 162 ideas of those 265, have less than 5 votes. So the intent here is, why am I calling out these figures is, as with any other team, we would have limited bandwidth. So we might not be able to go through all the 265 ideas, all the 265 ideas regularly. But what we do is we sort them and look at the ideas which have the highest number of votes and start with that. Does it mean that the ideas that have very low votes would never be looked at? Absolutely not. We will definitely look at, but the rank at which we will be looking at them would be slightly lower, and hence their review would be delayed a bit further. So that's why I wanted to call out that please go ahead, vote for the ideas that you like, encourage your peers, your friends, your colleagues to go ahead and vote for the ideas that you like, so that we will be able to look at that quicker, faster, and deliver them quicker and faster. In summary, before I hand to Bill, so again, we appreciate all your feedback, we appreciate all your comments, your critiques, everything. We hear you, we try to implement as many things as possible. We have dedicated bandwidth. Ideas could get declined if we don't have sufficient number of votes. Rather, I would probably say they would get very delayed in review if they don't have sufficient number of votes. We have been open, honest, transparent. Nasser called that out, and we will continue to do that. We will give you as much information as possible. We will give you as many detailed explanations as possible for any specific idea. If you don't like anything, if you feel something should be changed, let us know. You have been letting us know that, but feel free to do that further. Even if it means you want to talk to me directly, I'll be more than happy to do that as well. So with that, I'll transfer control to Bill, and Bill will take us through some cool new things that they have done on the CAPC front.
Thanks, Kiran.
I'm coming. I'm just waiting to get
Bill.
So as an introduction to what Bill's going to be showing with the with our CA performance management tool, there were several requests, ideas submitted on the community in support of kind of look and feel and usability requests for CAPC and the visualization of that. So what we've done is Bill will demonstrate for you. This is work in progress, under development, planned for our next release, which is the 2.4 release, illustrating some of the work that's been done in addressing kind of the look and feel of CAPC, which does address a series of ideas that were submitted regarding visualization, fonts, colors, those types of things. So Bill's going to share with you a demonstration of that.
Thanks, and I do want to emphasize this is still a work in progress. Not everything's been updated. And what this is part of is a larger effort within CA to upgrade some of our older user interfaces to, or older designs to some new design work that we've had done by an outside firm, a really, really well-known outside firm. And so for those of you who haven't seen Performance Center before, this is what it looks like today. It's pretty dark. And so I'm going to log in, and this is a site that doesn't actually have an awful lot of data, but you can see it's not a particularly friendly user interface. And so we're switching it over to use, again, a new style that we've been working on with a new design firm, and all that dark is gone, and we're now using a much lighter, paler, and more direct color scheme. And we're using new typography. We're using a lot more Windows standards, and this is what the new blue user interface looks like. So you can see the dark colors are gone. We have a much more limited color palette. We're currently working on refining all of the charts to make them more visual, more legible. We currently have bar charts done. We still have some of the feel issues still aren't in this version, but we're getting there. So if I look again, this is another example of how we're lightening things up, making things clear, using a much stronger typography. We are changing all of the font colors as we go through here. We're also changing all of the deep color sets that are used in the charts. The charts are also, they're not drawing quite right yet here. They're getting thicker line styles. And more in the case of multi-charts, we're using a much more varied color palette to make things a little more easy to read. We're also going through and getting rid of all of the really dark colors that were used in things like when you were looking at a device. There's no longer heavy gradient colors on display. We're no longer showing blue on blue text, which was a particularly unusual thing to have been doing. Again, the color palettes being used is a lot cleaner. We're using a standard icon set. We've also started, we're still in the midst of doing this, but we're going through even all the admin UI is being cleaned up. We're putting a lot more space in the admin UI so that you can spend a little more time working on seeing what you're actually doing rather than looking at a lot of big blue and dark gray spacing. that was going on all over the place. We have some more animation in the UI for those of you who are big fans of animation. For those of you who are not, we actually took some animation out of the UI. And even things like, again, the threshold management, data aggregator management. This is actually a whole new UI that we're using here. So it's a lot more emphasis on what you're doing and a lot less emphasis on putting some unusual things on display. Again, this is all part of a more comprehensive look that we're taking at CA across all product user interfaces. Performance Center is the first product that's getting this new look in the IM space. You're going to start seeing some of it in UIMS, I think this quarter in one part of it, but most of that work will be coming a little later. And we'll be rolling some of this into some of the other products, hopefully over the next 9 months.
Great, thanks, Bill. We actually have one more item to demonstrate based upon ideas that were submitted. So we're, if you could transfer presenter over to Dan Holmes. Dan, are you there?
Yeah, no, totally. Yep. And thanks, Bill. Thanks so much, Bill, for joining as well. And for the folks on the community, Bill is new to our team this year. He's just an awesome resource as really an expert in design, and really excited to have him helping us with the PM product, which is actually going to be leading some of the efforts throughout the BU, which is pretty cool. And I know Bill would welcome, opportunities in the future to even spend some time one-on-one with some of you folks in the community as well, testing out ideas, getting your feedback. So I'm glad he was able to hop on. So what I want to introduce you to is I have another update, and we're going to go into this in more detail on Friday. If you're a member of the pre-release community, we're going to go into this in more detail on Friday with our end of sprint. But given the nature of the call, I asked if I could sneak in and give you a sneak peek. So let me share a couple things here. So the first thing I'm going to show, and I'll be completely honest, I am stealing all the good work that my colleague Kiran Walker has done, learning how to use the community and really how to use your input and listen to you and drive that into the PM roadmap. So I really hope you start to see improvement in this area as it pertains to the CAPC and the CAPM product. I'm fortunate to have really good colleagues on our team, and so can you see what I'm sharing right now? I just want to make sure that's working good.
Yep, I can see the two screenshots of.
All right, great. So in the CAPC, if you filter on CAPC and ideas, filtering out the unwanted interfaces, I think was number 2 in terms of voted. In fact, improving the look and feel and then giving you flexibility to configure your own UI look and feel is number 1. Bill shared with you we're doing part of that in this release and then more to come there. But this was number 2, and I'm pretty psyched that we're seeing some progress here. And not only was it number 2, but then there was another idea, which is to not only improve the ability to filter out those unwanted interfaces, but to be able to filter any subcomponents. So the team's made some progress here. This is just a high level of the feature that we're going to be delivering. So we're going to be able to filter all subcomponent types beyond just interfaces, make sure those rules extend beyond just the 3 ANDed rules, and they include nesting and ORs. Every subcomponent is going to support name and description. Some of them may contain more, like interface has several things, and if there's something you want to filter on that's not there, you can go in to that vendor cert and with the XML tagging define the or the metric family rather, and with the XML tagging you can say I also want to promote these attributes that I can filter on. And I've got a screenshot here, but let me see if I can do this live up in developer system. So I'm going to now just share something else here. And I'll share this guy. Ah, here we go. All right, so straight off Lynn's desk, let's go in under admin to the data aggregator. And under those monitoring profiles, I think he's got a couple here. All right, so he's created a copy of the network interface monitoring profile. And here it is with the interface metric family. And we come in and edit this. Now this demo, I'm only doing it with interface because we don't yet have a dev system that has beyond the interface, but that is the target for this release. And here's a new filter expression that allows you to come in and, again, using the different attributes. So remember I mentioned that in the case of an interface subcomponent, we support more than just name and description. We support the alias, the admin status, the opera status, speed out. So in this case, name contains, and you can see this expression had, name starts with, contains, does not contain. So all your different operations and then your value. You've got, in this case, we're using the or, so or name contains this, or does not start with AT. We can add a new and here, and we can say and speed in equals 1, and then this is cool, so you don't have to do all the math yourself. You can just say 1 megabit per second. And then you can see down below it's building the expression. And then it also, you can see how it populates the XML. And if you don't want to do this with the UI, you can always just go in and define the XML for this as well. So that's a 2-cent demo of that feature. If you want to see it demoed more and be able to ask questions of the developers who did the work, if you're a member of the infrastructure management pre-release community, I did create the event for the end of sprint review next week. So this was just another example of being able to really start digging into those ideas, and we're now in a position to start getting those more into the roadmap. And so please keep them coming. And that's all I got, Kathy, for today.
Okay, great. I think we can open for questions.
Again, if you'd like to ask a question, press *1. We'll pause for just a moment to compile the Q&A roster.
So while we're paused, we actually have a Q&A that came in through the Q&A box from Stuart Wienig. He asks, what about filtering according to OIDs related to that element, a la NV style?
That's a good question. Let me look at the question there. Let me take that one back, and I'll make sure we cover it on Friday, and I'll also send a note directly to Stuart on that one.
Great, thank you, Dan.
Yep.
Okay, Susie, we can check one more time for questions. That would be great.
Again, if you would like to ask a question, press *1. No questions at this time.
Okay, thank you. Michael, would you like some final words to the community?
Yeah, sure. First of all, thanks to all the presenters today. We had a lot to cover. And I hope to see many of you in about 3 weeks at CA World. Once you close the WebEx, you should be redirected to the infrastructure management newsletter in the IAM community blog. I would encourage you to read through it. It has some additional info. And next month we'll be here on November 18th with a CA World recap, which will mostly focus on the roadmap presentations that we've had at CA World and maybe some other interesting topics. With that, thanks everyone, and have a good day.
Thank you. Thank you for joining.
This concludes today's conference call. You may now disconnect. Speakers, please hold.